I think Shane's waffling about this Jamie Carragher thing. Because to me, whether it's racist or not, we can have a conversation about what you mean by racism, because mad different people have different meanings to racism.
Yeah, go on.
But since 2000, 9 different people have won, 9 South American players have won the Ballon d'Or since the year 2000.
Okay.
Not all of them have won the World Cup.
Okay.
All the years that Messi was winning it, he weren't winning international trophies as well.
100%.
So you said that only the Euros and the World Cup, or you said that Jamie Carragher said, and you kind of agree with him, that only internationally the World Cup and the Euros are of the standard to be considered major tournaments.
Facts.
But the problem is that there's no qualification process. So, for example, to get into the Champions League, you have to be one of the top clubs in Europe. However, if you're an African country, there's nothing you can do. If there was an African country that happened to be, at their moment, the best country in the world, the best country in the world, they can only play at AFCON. There's nothing... Or World Cup. There's nothing they can do about that. So if you have an African player, but World Cup's one every 4 years. So if you have an African player who's the best player in the world and with the best country in the world, but the only place they can play is AFCON, so they smoke it in the Premier League or whatever domestic league, they smoke it in the Champions League, and then they smoke it in AFCON.
Then they win Ballon d'Or. If you smoke it in Premier League and Champions League, you win Ballon d'Or.
So if Salah smokes it in the Premier League and the Champions League this year, you think he deserves to win the Ballon d'Or?
1,000,000%.
But earlier you said that you didn't think he deserved to win the Ballon d'Or.
He doesn't. From the Ballon d'Or was for last year. Last year he did not win the league.
But
last year he didn't win the Champions League. But last year he didn't win anything.
We're obviously talking about for next year then.
But you can't. He hasn't won anything yet. He hasn't won the league and he hasn't won Champions League.
Obviously they're talking about the form that he's on. If he were to continue this form, basically what they're saying is if he were to continue this type of form, he would
win the Ballon d'Or. Of course he would.
And then that's when Jamie said no, because he can't win nothing. He can't win an international major tournament. That's where they're saying it's cap.
Cool. That statement is false.
Thank you.
But I never said that statement. What you used to. Let's not get the viewers. Let's not get the viewers confused.
I'm talking about what Jamie Carragher said.
You said that. I never said the statement was true. I said the statement wasn't racist. That's what I said, bro.
Okay.
I said I didn't say the statement was true because for me, people were talking about Vinny winning Ballon d'Or and Vinny didn't do F all for Brazil. Yep. So when people were talking about Rodri versus Vinny last season, Vinny didn't do nothing for Brazil. Yep. So of course that statement isn't true. There's been times where Iniesta's won Champions League and World Cup in the same year, or Euros in the same year, and he didn't win anything. And Messi won it, and Messi didn't do nothing for Argentina.
I agree.
That statement is 100% false, but it isn't racist. Saying that AFCON isn't a major tournament isn't racist because it's not a major tournament.
To say AFCON isn't a major tournament isn't racist, but to say that the Euros it's
a major tournament because the quality of the football in the Euros is better than the quality of football in African Cup of Nations, bro. Cool.
Go on. I agree. Yeah.
It's like saying, and I don't even want to use this as an example, but it's like using the Saudi League, for example. The Saudi League has good players in it, but it's not a good league because the overall standard of the Saudi League is poor. That is not anything to do with race, bro. That's everything to do with the fact that the league is crap. And I watch AFCON.
The difference is players choose to go and play in the Saudi League. If you're an African player, there's this one talking about levels. If you're an African player, there's nothing you can do. You have to play in AFCON.
Facts.
You have to play in AFCON.
Facts.
So do you know what I'm saying? We've already got some of the reason that the European quality is so good is the players that they take from Africa and get to come and play for European countries.
But that doesn't make the African Cup of Nations a good tournament, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying
a big tournament.
Okay, cool. I understand what you're saying. The World Cup and the Euros obviously holds more prestige because the quality is better. No one's argued with that, but. There's, like I say, man are looking at CONCACAF or man are looking at the South American thing, bro. Copa America, sorry. What his statement is that some of these, basically, according to his statement, no African players or no non-European players could possibly win a Ballon d'Or.
No.
Based off of his statement.
No, bro. He never said that.
Go on.
Because there's been players who's won World Cup, i.e. Argentina. Yep. They won World Cup, so they're not European. They just won the World Cup, bro.
But before they won the World Cup, Lionel Messi's already won 8 Ballon d'Ors.
But he won champs, bro.
This is what I'm saying. So what he was saying, again, we're going back to our original argument of are we talking about for last year or for next year?
But you're saying you literally just said that no one from outside of Europe can win the
according to his argument.
But you can because you can win the World Cup, bro.
Obviously, bruv, pissing me off. Obviously, I know that you can because, like I said, people have. So obviously, I'm saying according to his statement, this is the reason I'm saying.
But he said if they win the World Cup, they can win the World Cup.
The World Cup's every 4 years. The Ballon d'Or's every year. So what are they going to do for the next 3 years?
But they can win the World Cup. They can win
once every 4 years.
Regardless of what,
this is why you're waffling.
When is Euros? Once every 4 years.
Once every 4 years.
Exactly. So it's the same thing, bro. It's the same thing.
No, it's not, bro.
But how is it not the same thing? If you're saying the only thing, you're acting so dumb.
No, because if you play in the Euros, you're playing one of the international tournament, one of the majors every 2 years.
Facts.
Because you've got a World Cup and a Euros.
Facts.
So if you're a European player, you have twice the chance to win the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, but they have twice the chance. That doesn't mean the African players doesn't have no chance. You said that Carragher said that they have no chance. And they do if they win the World Cup, or if they win the champs, or if they win the Prem.
So an African player, no, bro, not the champs or the Prem, because he's talking about Mo Salah.
Okay, cool.
He's talking about Mo Salah, they're probably going to win the Premier League this year.
And what European tournament are they going to win? Champions League. If they win the Champions League, he will win the Ballon d'Or this year. 100%.
So that's why I'm saying his statement is racist, because
it's not racist,
this is what I'm saying. His statement is at least racially or culturally biased at the very least, because we're talking about a player. If my man goes on to win the champs and the Prem, and then he's still got that same argument of I'm not sure he can win a Ballon d'Or because he ain't won no international major tournament. It's like, bro, what are you talking about?
But there isn't a major tournament this year anyway for him to win. Because it's what he's done. When you look at what you win, when the Ballon d'Or's being nominated, they look at what you've won this year.
Yep.
And when they look at let's say it's a point system.
Yep.
And it's the closest to 100 points. The Champions League will give you 50 points instantly winning the Champions League. And your performance in the Champions League. Your domestic league might give you 20 points. The European League winning like a Euros will give you more credit than winning an AFCON. Yep. And he's saying because he doesn't have the additional option of winning a major tournament internationally, that will hinder his chances of winning a Ballon d'Or.
And I'm saying, okay, cool.
That's a fact.
For an African player to win the Euros, obviously it's not as prestigious, but I don't think it should be counted as like a lot less points, because that's all they can do. Remember in the Champions League, in the Champions League, like you have to qualify to get into the Champions League.
It's easier to win, bro. It's because it's easier to win.
Only 3 or 4 teams are gonna go and win the Euros anyway. There's only 3 or 4 teams
because it's harder to win. It's because it's harder to win, bro.
AFCON is still hard to win, bro.
Not as hard. Hence the reason why it doesn't have the same reward.
I understand that, bro, but I'm saying you can't.
Burkina Faso won the African Cup of Nations.
I don't think they did, but maybe years ago, not recently, bro.
Regardless, bro. But my point is, bro, if you got the best team from Africa, the best team from Europe, and the best team from South America, 9 times out of 10, Africans gonna lose.
Probably.
And
what's the reasons for that?
Because they're not as good.
But what's the reasons for that?
What's the reasons for what?
For why it's not as good. We could talk about the infrastructure. We could talk about the money. We could talk about the top talent being taken to go to Europe.
But that's got nothing to do with Jamie Carragher.
That's all part of it. But that's all part of it.
All Jamie Carragher is doing is highlighting an obvious state. I don't even like Jamie Carragher.
That's all part of it.
Jamie Carragher,
bro.
But Jamie,
I don't understand what you're defending.
I think black people are oversensitive, bro.
No, I think
black people are oversensitive.
No, I'd agree with that, but not on this. Bro, most times not even black, so it's not even about.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, bro. I see black people because we saw the two.
What are you talking about?
We saw the two IC3s defending.
We're talking about North Africans, bro. We're talking about we're not even talking about black people. Why are you talking about black? Why are you? You're racist. Why are you talking about black people? We're not even talking about black people. It's an argument. It's an argument between a white man. Cool. It's an argument between a white man and an Egyptian man, and you're bringing up black people.
Okay,
what are you talking about?
Brought up race. Egypt isn't a race. That is not a race. That's like nationality. That's a nationality, bro.
Okay, cool. But he can still be racist to that race of people. What we want to call the North Africans, Arabs, whatever the case may be.
People.
Whatever. No. We're talking about AFCON because that's the competition. But it could be
all Jamie Carragher done.
Yeah.
All Jamie Carragher done was say that African Cup of Nations is not a big tournament, which it isn't.
I disagree.
The African Cup of Nations is not a big tournament.
It's a big tournament, bro. You can say
it's a big tournament for Africans.
You could say it's not as big as the Euros. You can say it's not as prestigious as the Euros, but you can't say it's not a big tournament.
It's not, bro.
That's ridiculous, bro. There's 1.2 billion people in Africa, bro. That's ridiculous. How can you say it's not a big tournament? That's the only. If they've got that in the World Cup, how can you say it's not a big tournament, bro? If somebody retires and they've won 5 AFCONs, are they proud of that or not?
Let me ask you a question.
Are they proud of that or not?
Let me ask you a question. Wait.
Go on.
And be honest. Be honest in the viewers as well. Have you ever looked at a person and said, "Oh, they won African Cup of Nations, so they deserve Ballon d'Or"? Have you ever done that within your entire life?
I'm trying to think.
Have you ever used that as a merit or a reason for why someone should have won something? Never. You've never done it. You've done it.
Bro, listen,
You're lying, bro. What play did you do it for?
Hear what I'm saying. When Yaya Toure was at his peak, when Etu was at his peak, what they were doing in AFCON was definitely contributing to how people were seeing them on the world stage. That's facts. That's facts. Yes, it was. Yes, it was, bro.
No, it wasn't. When Etu was bagging it up, when Etu...
Yes, it was,
okay, then why did they neither of them win any Ballon d'Ors? Or even get a nomination for...
Ask them how to do the Ballon d'Or,
because it's not... Bro, because it's not rated the same, bro.
I understand it's not rated the same.
And it shouldn't be rated the same.
Not rated the same and not a major tournament are two different conversations.
It's not a big... Bro,
they're two different conversations.
For me, financially, it's not a big tournament because it doesn't generate the same level of income.
And why is that? Bro,
because it's not that good of a football tournament, bro. The quality isn't that good, bro.
We can't talk about the quality and not talk about... Bro, when man are talking about... You talk about systemic racism and things like that, off camera, Man can't talk about the state of African football, not talk about why the state of African football is the way that it is. The infrastructure's bad.
I agree.
The money's bad.
I agree.
The viewing is bad. All that kind of stuff. I understand all that. But when the Euros is on, obviously we're in Europe. When the Euros is on, it's on BBC One. When AFCON's on, it's not on. It's not accessible in the same way.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think if the standard of the African Cup of Nations was at a level that was competitive to European football or better than European football, it would have the lack of viewership?
Yes.
You're lying.
Yes.
You're 100% lying.
100%.
You're 100% lying.
100%.
You're 100% lying.
You're lying. If somehow... So you're telling me you have too much faith in white people, bro.
No, I don't.
Listen, here, let me ask you a question. Yeah, if the Côte d'Ivoire and Nigeria and Ghana were the top 3 countries in the world, they were badding it up. They're the best players. They're badding it up. Yeah.
Facts.
Do you think that people like Jamie Carragher would then give the same prestige of the Euros?
Overall, yes, 1 million
You're crazy.
1 million
You're crazy.
You're mad. You're mad. Because you want to know why.
You're mad.
You want to know why. Let me tell you why.
Go on, tell me.
Because when they...
You're mad.
Let me show you.
You're mad.
When Premier League was badding it up and was getting, slam dunked on in European football.
Yep.
Like when we weren't even competing in...
When the Italian leagues were killing it.
When the Italian leagues were killing it. Look at the viewing figures then versus the viewing figures in the Prem now. When we actually are competing in European football. People go where there's quality, bro. It's just that straightforward. I guarantee you, if Nigeria was the best football team in world football and they won the World Cup, I guarantee you that would increase the viewing figures in the African Cup of Nations.
You're going back to a time.
That's the only case study I have to go from. That's the only case study I have to go from.
No, it's not. You're going back to a time pre-social media, pre all this different stuff, bro. Like clubs like Arsenal, clubs like Manchester United, all these different clubs, they've got big social media presences. They've got a lot more money to put into different things, bro. Like, bro, there's man on social media now, like a Jesse Lingard or something, that you could say didn't have as successful a career as other, like, I don't know, Ademola Lookman or someone like that, that he'll have more followers, he'll have bigger this, he'll have bigger, like, you can't look at, that I'm saying that's tantamount to viewing figures. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you can't. You can't.
Because he hasn't played for a big club.
It's also exactly. So what are we talking about then? We're talking about talent. So I'm saying, you've taken the argument from people are going to watch talent to people are going to watch a big club.
Because the big club's a better team, bro.
How? You're not 15th. What are you talking about?
No, bro. Let's keep it real. The Premier League is a better league than Serie A. The Premier League is a better league.
Are more people watching Man United this year or watching? I can find people that's above you that people are watching you lot more than them. And you lot are worse.
That's because we have a bigger fan base.
And you lot are worse.
That's because we have a bigger fan base.
Okay, cool. So how do you generate that fan base?
Okay. Through quality, bro.
So you think the Euros is watched by tens of millions or hundreds of millions of people, and then if the quality of the AFCON is better, all these men are going to go and watch AFCON now?
I believe there will be.
You're on crack. I
would believe the African Cup of Nations will have much more viewing figures. I
can make the same argument about women's football, bro. No matter how good women's football is, certain man not watching women's football.
That's because the quality will never reach the level of men's football. You're changing the argument. I said if it was exactly. It's impossible.
It don't matter. It don't matter,
impossible, bro.
It's impossible for AFCON to be the same as Europe.
Not in terms of quality, because we've seen great players.
No, it's not, because they take their players, bro. They take their players, bro. If you've got
AFCON, what players get get taken.
Europe takes all of Africa's best players and takes them into European leagues.
But I'm talking about African Cup of Nations,
so that
bro.
talent isn't
I'm talking
there
about
to filter
African
down.
Cup of Nations.
Bro.
Is Yaya Toure not one of the best midfielders that played in the Premier League?
Yes, in my opinion, yes.
And did he not play...
Not a lot of people don't agree with that.
Did he not play in the African Cup of Nations?
Yes.
Okay, so then is Samuel Eto'o not one of the best strikers that we've seen in recent years? Cool. Is Mo Salah not arguably one of the best wingers we've seen?
Yes.
Mane the same in recent years?
Yeah.
So in that, all of them played in African Cup of Nations, right?
Bro,
so there's nothing stopping the African...
You can't take top talent to Europe for their whole career, 10, 15-year career. Mo Salah's been at Chelsea since 15 years ago, and then put him for 2 weeks with Egypt and be like, bro, how's that talent going to filter down? We're talking about, for AFCON to be better, the actual leagues in those countries would have to be better.
Of course.
So if we're taking away the best players, then the leagues aren't going to get better. What are you talking about?
However, that isn't necessarily the truth. Not necessarily. Let me tell you why. England on the last few tournaments have done better in the last few tournaments than they've ever done, right?
Correct.
But if you look at any of their top teams in the competition in the Premier League, none of the best players play actually for England. None of them.
What do you mean?
None of the best players for England. None of the best players in England Premier League for the best teams, whether it's Arsenal, Chelsea, City, Liverpool, whoever.
Yeah.
None of their best players are English, other than maybe Arsenal, which is Saka. Other than that, everybody else is foreign.
If you're going back the last couple of seasons, that's not true. When Liverpool were at their peak with Klopp, Henderson was playing.
No, he was not their best player. He was not Liverpool's best player, bro.
He was their captain and one of their best.
That's not my statement. Who was their best player, bro? Who was their best player?
Okay, not their solo best player. But
who was their best player?
Probably
bro?
Mo Salah. But
okay, who was City's best player? Haaland, De Bruyne.
You're picking one player. You can have 2 or 3 best players. The best right back in the Premier League history is widely considered to be Kyle Walker. He plays for Man City.
I said, who was their best player, bro?
Tottenham's best player was Harry Kane. He started for England.
The reason why I didn't say Tottenham because Tottenham's not a big club.
But it just is what it is. Saka starts.
I said Saka.
Okay, cool.
Liverpool.
Jordan Pickford.
He's not. Liverpool's there. Liverpool. Jordan Pickford plays for Everton.
No, I'm going through England's 11 and looking at who they play.
The best players in the best teams in England.
Depends what you mean by the best player, bro. It depends what you mean by the best player.
Okay, cool. Let me ask
you.
But
all these men play in the Premier League, bro. As soon as they leave the Premier League, what happens? They lose their opportunity to play in England, bro.
Who?
The people like Tomori we're not getting a look in.
But my argument, you said.
What's your argument?
You said if you improve the leagues,
yeah,
it will then make the players better. Right?
If you
it'll make the players better, right?
Yeah. The quality will improve broadly.
The quality of the players.
That's coaching. That's all that kind of stuff.
Of course.
Yeah.
If you improve,
and a lot of that is money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm saying in the Premier League, the best players in the best teams generally aren't English, but yet England still have a good team. So it's not that those two don't go hand in hand.
That's not the argument I'm making. The players that play for the national team all play in the Premier League. When you go to the Côte d'Ivoire, the players that play in the national team, or Nigeria, the players that play in the national team don't play in Africa. They play in Europe.
Which means they're playing in a better league. Which means they should be getting better quality. Which means that when they play together, they should be better.
No, they only play together for like 2 weeks, bro. That's ridiculous.
But it's the same thing in England, bro.
No, it's not, bro. How's it the same thing? Are you mad, bro? These men all play in this.
But they don't play together, though. They don't play.
A lot of them do play together.
No, they don't.
Okay. On any given day, you can have 4 or 5 Man City players in England starting 11.
Can you?
Yeah.
You can have 4 or 5 Man City players.
Got Kyle Walker.
Yeah, go on.
John Stones. Jack Grealish. Phil Foden. That's 4.
Grealish. When was the last time Jack Grealish played for England?
He's played. He played in the last tournament.
Huh?
He played in the last tournament, no? Did he play in the last tournament?
No, he didn't even go.
Tournament before that.
So,
but all these men play in England. All these men play in England, bro. Man can't talk about the lack of quality in AFCON and not address the fact that France takes a lot of their best players as well as a lot of their resources.
I agree with that.
Do you know what I'm saying?
That's not my argument, bro. I'm just saying it's not a big competition. That's all my argument is.
That's ridiculous, bro. You can't say that, bro.
It is what it is.
So you're telling African players then, unless they win a World Cup, which is very unlikely, then they're never going to win any major competition on the international stage, and then that's going to hamper.
They win a World Cup, yeah.
And then that's going to hamper their ability to potentially win Ballon d'Or. That's ridiculous.
No, because
I think that's ridiculous.
You can win champs. You can win Champions League and win Ballon d'Or.
Okay, cool. If you're European, you're basically, according to Shane, if you're European,
you have a better chance.
You're just going to get rated higher.
Yeah, because you're playing in a more competitive league.
All right, cool.
But you give championship players, because that's the quality of AFCON. Championship level is AFCON, bro.
It's the 6th most watched league in the world after the top 5 leagues.
What?
Championship.
Quality-wise?
It's up there.
Quality. That's what I'm saying, bro. That's why you're an Arsenal fan.
There.
You're an Arsenal fan, bro.
You guys are... What leagues are better than Championship? Other than the top 5 leagues, what league's better than Championship?
In terms of quality?
Yeah. Championship is better than Saudi.
Yeah, 100.
Championship over Turkey?
Probably, yeah, as well, yeah, probably.
So what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? What are you talking about? Man's a hater, bruv.
Bruv, it ain't a big league, innit? But it is what it is.
That's a ridiculous statement.
It's not a big league, bruv.
That's a ridiculous statement.
Okay, cool.
It's 1 point. There's twice the population of Europe, bro. It's a ridiculous statement, bruv.
I don't mean in terms of population, bro.
That's part of it, bruv.
Okay, the K League got flipping 1 billion people in one country. Is it bigger than the Premier League? Is it bigger than the Premier League? Is it bigger than the Prem?
Jesse Lingard plays there. Is it bigger? The K League don't have 1 billion people either, by the way, but whatever.
The country China has a.
The K League is Korea, you idiot, not China.
That's racist.
That's 100%. It's called the K League, bro. This is how racist this guy. I've done the video, bro. Done the video. This guy, like the man said, the K League. There's got 1 billion people because it's China. It's Korea, you idiot.
Whatever. You know what I mean,
bro. You don't even know what you mean.
Alright, cool.
What's the guy talking about, bro?
The Chinese league has 1 billion people in that country. So what? Doesn't mean nothing, bro. Just because the population is more doesn't mean it's a bigger league.
Okay,
bruv.